Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for our webinar this morning. We've got probably more new items than I've ever had in one go on a webinar before. I didn't realise that when we first started it, really. So I'm hoping I'll do them justice. There's quite a lot of new features and new products that I've been trying to learn and then understand fully to be able to explain as best I can. I've also, it was my daughter's 9th birthday party at the weekend. We had 6 girls sleeping over, and I think I've caught a cold from one of them. So you have to bear with me. I've got some water and tea and a box of tissues here. So hopefully I'll get through it okay. We've got about 2 hours, but there'll be a break in the middle, and it may not take that long. Anyone who knows me, though, knows that we can go into as much detail as anyone might like on here. So if you have any questions, please do ask. Laura's already said, again, because these are new products, she might not be as much help as she normally is, but she'll do her best on there and at least alert me to questions that you might raise. So please ask them as you think of the questions. Don't try and save them, because they're probably very, very relevant for people to have answers to. So yes, so I am Ellis. I'm the Managing Director of VisionAid Technologies. For those of you who don't know me, I've been involved in this almost since my father started it back in 1996. So we've been doing this for quite some time. Sadly, he passed away back in 2011, but it's still a family-owned and run business by myself and my mother. My wife's involved as well. So it's a nice kind of family environment business where if any of you have seen our website, you probably realise, and our catalogues, that we don't mind where a product might come from, as long as it's good and it solves an issue for a visually impaired or blind user or reading challenged user. We don't mind where it comes from. So I think we have the largest range of assistive solutions anywhere from one company in the world, from what we've seen, in fact, which in itself is a challenge, maintaining those and finding out when new solutions come along. But new solutions are exciting and they can move things along for visually impaired and blind users. So that's why I'm excited to show you some of the things today. We do have, as this is sort of a DSA and access to work focused webinar for assessors and potentially end users, but mainly assessors. We do have our handy assessor packs, which I know many of you will already have. But if you'd like a new one or an updated one, please just get in contact. You can leave your email in inquiries, or sorry, in the chat, or you can just send us an email to inquiries@VisionAid. There's no charge for these, and they come in this handy pouch. It includes the latest large print catalogue that we do, 40 pages now. There's over 90 solutions in it, I think, of the best-selling ones in all the different categories. It's organised by category. Has a really handy magnification guide on the back as well. So for a low vision user, that's the single most useful piece of information we can get, is how large text has to be for them to be able to read it clearly. We've got handy things in there like one-to-one size large print keyboard guides. So without having to carry 3 different keyboards around with you, you can then very quickly see, if you've got someone who's not a touch typist, if a large print keyboard will benefit them and what color they might prefer. And a laminated large size guide on the back as well, magnification guide. The other main thing that's in there is our screen size tool. So this handy thing here with lots of different rectangles on allows an assessor to quickly ascertain whether a handheld video magnifier at a particular screen size will be of benefit to the user, or whether it's sort of the optimum size for them. So if they combine that, excuse me, with the magnification guide, you could say, what happens with handhelds is that users always want the smallest, most compact, pocketable handheld they can have, for obvious reasons. It's much more portable and easier to carry around. The problem with that is, if you've got a user that maybe needs 6 or 8 times magnification, and they say, line up in here, I'll just take the 4.3-inch handheld magnifier size guide on here, and then if you put that up, it's a bit tricky doing it on the screen on here, hold that up to the size that they need, you can quickly see that as you go to the larger text sizes, you're only getting a few characters visible on the screen at once, which means in terms of any productivity or ease of use or reading comfort, very quickly diminishes, and they just won't be able to read quickly and comfortably for any long period of time if they need higher magnifications. So that's when you then go up the screen sizes up to a 12.5-inch we've got on here, I think, or 12-inch, and that's the sort of the largest transportable size unit you can get with it. Obviously, the desktop ones go up much larger, up to kind of 27. Even on some of the Clover Vision units, 32-inch, 40-inch televisions you can put on top of units. But it depends. There's only certain users that benefit from those. But it's got a handy guide. There's some other things in there, lighting solutions as well, ergonomics, and other aids are included in the print version as well. It can just be handy if you're on assessment and your internet's not working, or you just want to be able to quickly show somebody something. The printed guides we still find are quite useful, or at least the feedback we get is that they are. So please just let us know if you'd like one of those. So what are we going to be having a look at today? It's going to be the new or the newest Readit solutions. So we've got 3 cameras, new ones to show you on there. There's the Zen, which replaces effectively the Readit Air, if anyone's familiar with that. So it's a much higher resolution, even better quality camera. Very similar price. Then there's the Zen Max, which is the same camera, but actually allows A3 size capture, so much larger format for users that might need to physical documents that are bigger. Then we've got a brand new distance camera, which is released. It's not quite released yet. It's going to be available in October, called the CoaSt. And that's a really neat, small optical zoom distance camera, which works both with the Readit software and a cut down version of the Readit software, which is included free of charge with it, but I'll run through that. Then we've got another distance camera called the Magnibot, and this one's quite interesting because it's actually a battery-powered, motorized Wi-Fi distance camera, again with 10 times optical zoom, but it allows you to place it anywhere in the room, the meeting room, or the classroom, or the lecture theatre, and allow the student to control it from any device with a web browser. So it's not linked to operating systems, it just runs through a web browser. So any iPad, any Android tablet, Chromebook, literally any device it just works with. So that's a really novel solution. Excuse me. So going on to that one. Then we've got something called the Dot Pad. So I'm actually excited to be able to show this. I wasn't sure whether be able to. Haven't had the full amount of time to fully learn the product myself, but it's I can show you what it's capable of. Hopefully enough to give you an idea of what's possible with it. It's got a crazy number of Braille cells on it. There's actually 2,400 pins in the tactile graphics area. So this product for the first time allows users, blind users, to access tactile diagrams without the need to have a swell paper kind of thermal printer and someone creating the drawings on there and then printing them out and physically getting the document. The resolution that it's got on there will actually allow really good feel of tactile graphics, and because it's all software upgradable, because it's a big Braille display, other features can just be added to it, and they're working hard on extra ones as well. That's really exciting. Then we've got the Helix HD Pro, which is another product that's not released yet. It was going to be in November, but it's most likely going to be December now, sadly. But it's a very neat, small close-up and distance viewing camera for people in the workplace, needing to access paperwork and potentially also see something in the distance, but much more discreet than some of the other bigger, larger solutions as well. And then finally, over my shoulder, we've got the Clover Book XL, which is a very interesting upgrade to the Clover Book range in terms of it being a larger screen. So it goes up to a 15.6-inch screen instead of the 12.5-inch screen. So you lose a little bit of the portability, but that extra screen size, obviously, as we mentioned before, in terms of magnification, can really assist users. And the screen is double pivoting, so you can get a much better ergonomic viewing angle because the screen angles down, the actual part that holds the screen, and then it tilts up towards you. So it's a much more natural viewing angle and stops people sort of leaning forwards and over it, like they do with other tablet devices that we have from all the other manufacturers. So ergonomically, it's the best sort of transportable solution like this. So yes, I better make a start on the first product. So excuse me, I'll just have a sip of tea before it goes cold. So we're going to have a look at the Readit software and then the new cameras, the Zen and the Zen Max cameras. So I'm sure many of you will be familiar with the Readit software, which has accompanied all the Readit products for a long time. I'm actually just going to start it on my computer now. It's just starting up on here. And then I'll show you the cameras. So if I just switch camera on here, hopefully it's not going to freeze. Sometimes this camera freezes and I have to unplug it and plug it back in. Hopefully I'll notice. If not, I'm sure Laura will shout at me and tell me I've frozen. So we actually have two cameras. They're both exactly the same size. They come in a nice padded bag. with a front pocket, which then allows you to remove on the A4 unit, which this is the Zen camera captures A4. It comes with a reversible positioning guide. So that enables, if I take the main camera out, and it has a right angle cable built in, so you don't have to wrap it around you don't have to unplug and plug it back in each time. It's literally just there ready for the user. This simply sits into the stand, and if you're, depending on which side of the desk you have it on, a bit of fluff on there, you can flip it over and turn it the other way around to then have it facing to the left or the right. This camera is a little bit heavier than the than the Readit Air that it replaces, but it's only 750 grams with the cable, so it's not a heavy device, and it's just easy to just put in your laptop bag and take with you. The footprint is very small as well, so it doesn't take up very much space on the table, and it only stands 27 centimeters tall, so just under 12 inches tall, so not very large, and it simply pivots out like that, and you have a lighting control underneath with built-in LED lighting, but these cameras are actually optimized to work with standard ambient lighting in the room. The worst thing for documents are reflections for cameras, and by putting these lights on, if you've got a really glossy page, like a magazine catalog or a textbook, you will get some reflections coming back up at certain parts of the document, and that can then really impact on the quality of the text recognition that these are capable of doing. But I'll just put it back in there for now. And then it's just a single USB-A connection on there. It's USB 3 is recommended on it, and that's what it says in the manual. It can sometimes work on USB 2, but it just depends. If you've got the lighting on, that uses more power, so we recommend USB 3 for it for users. I'll just plug it in on here. I've got lots of extension cables and devices. If all my USB devices carry on working for the whole webinar, I'll be amazed. So fingers crossed they do. So we have it on here, and then if I share my screen, we've got Readit running. I'll share the entire screen actually, I think, because then there's other bits I can show you on there. There we go, screen 2. But hopefully you now have a view of the of my table on here. I'm just going to start with something very simple, just to show one of the new features of Readit, because we keep adding more and more features to the Readit software. So I'll place under there just a loratadine hay fever tablets. Thankfully, my hay fever is over now for the summer, so don't need those anymore. But we can use this to start with as a real-time digital magnifier. So I'm just using my mouse wheel and the control key to zoom in and zoom out. And because this is an 18 megapixel camera, the Readit Air that the Zen now replaces used to be a 5 megapixel camera, so it's a huge resolution jump. So the quality, even on very small print, which this is on here, is excellent. Then we can enhance the colors with
enhanced grayscale,
and you get the two color modes, which you can adjust the color, the threshold of, as you can on most digital magnifier systems now. So even just as a quick way of magnifying the document and moving around with the mouse, or if you have a touch screen on your monitor, you can touch screen magnify it as well. That works very nicely.
Color.
But the exciting part happens when you then take a picture of something with the Readit software. So if I push the enter key,
capturing,
it initiates the capture. If I'm moving around underneath the capture, underneath the camera area, it knows that and it will beep, which I hope you can hear across on there. And as soon as I hold it still for 2 seconds, it then takes the picture.
Recognizing.
And then
Farmer.
Finish there. One of the new features on Readit is the ability for it to now auto crop. So this has been created with an AI trained model, so it will try and accurately determine what is of interest on the desk, and it gets rid of everything else that's around it. So you're just left with your document or packet or whatever it might be on there that you need to read, which actually then improves the recognition and speed and other things as well. And then means when you export the document, you also get a better quality export because it's not exporting all the desk and everything else around it. So it really helps for recognition and document export too. I'm going to go through this really quickly just on the Readit, because I mean I could spend 2 hours just going through the Readit software, but I'm not going to. But just highlight some of the core features of it for those of you who aren't familiar with the software. So once you've captured a document, you don't need the physical packet or document anymore. You then have 6 different ways of viewing that document. So number 1,
image,
and I can just use the number keys on my keyboard, 1 to 6. I've just pushed number 1 is the original image. You can two-color these with the letter C, and you have a toolbar
Color.
here to do the same thing. Up,
Enhanced grayscale.
and then you can step through the different color combinations.
Black on yellow.
Standard ones are there, and you can even set your own custom one up as well, which it remembers.
White on
Leave it
black.
white on black for now. So this is still a nice way of doing it because you don't need to physically move the page around, and it's captured and you can save this document. But even with an 18 megapixel camera, when you zoom in a lot, it will start to pixelate and break up. But number two, the second view,
Binary.
color,
Overlay.
then replaces the picture of the word with a font. So this stays perfectly clear, whatever zoom level you go to on it. I can go up to literally, you can just see part of a character, and it still is
visualization.
So it's like on screen magnifiers when you have the X font or Dolphin's kind of font smoothing on as well, that allows things to stay clear, whatever zoom level you go to. With any captured text that is recognized, you can then do that with. This is really useful if you've got a page where the layout of the page is very important. So it's not just a long page of a book that you just need to read from start to finish, but if it's a table of something like an invoice in the workplace that you're needing to look at, because this preserves the formatting, the position of the text, you can still understand the meaning of the table or the diagram that you're looking at. So that's where the overlay view is really, really useful. If you're just reading something that just has text though, then the next view, column view, makes it very easy because it word wraps. So you don't have to worry about going left to right on there. It just fits it based on the zoom level that you adjust, instantly wraps across. And the lines that are seen across here indicate paragraph boundaries. That gives you a bit of an idea where you are on the page. And then we have scroll bars down the side as well. These are all customizable in size. So this scroll bar shows you how far, the one on the right hand side here shows you a visual indication of how far through the current page you're on as you're scrolling. The nice thing with the latest Readit software as well is it's excuse me, it's all hardware accelerated. What does that mean? It means it's using the graphics card in the computer, and it doesn't need a powerful one. Even the inbuilt graphics cards from 5 years ago work absolutely fine, even older than that. But it means it doesn't stress the processor on the machine for displaying the text. Believe it or not, when you're redrawing text instantly at different sizes like this smoothly, it's quite demanding, even though it is just text. But by offloading that and using the computer's graphics card, it then means it's firstly much smoother and it uses much less power. So if you're using it on a laptop and you need to maximize battery life, it really helps for that. But what you can do on here, on any of these modes, I should have done it before. If you click on a word, if you have a touchscreen, you can just tap on it, but I've got a cursor, I can click on it.
For the relief of allergic symptoms due to hay fever and
I can just click it to pause it. I'm hoping the sound from the computer is coming across, or could you just confirm that it is? It should be. I shared the sound, but I'm always a bit worried when sometimes it doesn't work. If you can let me know, that'd be great. So that will read the text. We've got really human sounding voices on there as well. It's all the latest, actually the Serent's voices. So it used to be Nuance Vocalizer. They've rebranded again to Serent's, and they've all been repackaged, and they're the latest voices in all the languages that are supported. So I can't remember exactly how many languages there are, I'm afraid, but there are many, many languages on there that are supported. With a standard Readit license, all the languages except for Chinese, Thai, Japanese and Korean and Arabic, sorry, are included. If any of those other 5 languages are required, then it's an £80 extra charge. The OCI is not perfect on all of those, but it still does a very good job on it. But we've got some exciting things coming on Readit in the next 6 months, which should mean that the accuracy is fantastic in all the languages, but I'll touch on that a bit later on. So we've got it reformatted. The other thing that's really nice that you can do with this is actually scroll the text smoothly. So some users don't like having the speech reading to them all the time, but they might need quite a large magnification. You can obviously just click and scroll on it, but if you have a middle mouse button on your computer, you can just move it like this and set the scrolling speed very easily and go very fast. And again, it probably doesn't come across on this very well on Zoom, but it's silky smooth, and it even runs, we've tested up to 240 frames per second if you have a monitor that is that smooth. So it is actually, if somebody really likes reading in that way, potentially considering a high refresh rate monitor that goes above the standard 60 hertz. So 144 is more and more common now, normally for gaming, but this is the other use case where it's very, very useful for visually impaired users. Also, when they're using a screen magnifier. So if you're scrolling around and you're zoomed in and panning around the image, it really makes it much smoother and then reduces the chance for sort of seasickness and nauseating feeling that some users can experience when they're using a screen magnifier, at least while I get used to it. So that's that on there, the scrolling part. You can also do it from a keyboard shortcut as well. So Shift and full stop, you can just click and it goes faster and faster. I then just tap the Shift key, it stops, and we can go backwards on it as well. So set whatever speed you want on there. So a very just nice way of doing that on there. Excuse me. That's column view. Then we go
horizontal.
into horizontal. So exactly the same, but sort of a ticker tape view. Again, you've got all the scrolling modes. You can just click on a word and it starts from there. Many users with nystagmus, so if they have an uncontrollable eye condition where their eyes are always moving, find it much easier to stay focused on the words that they're reading in this mode. Other users who are very sensitive to the amount of light that are hitting their eyes, this is like a blind marker sort of effect, that so you're just focusing on one line again, so that can really help in those two conditions. And just other particular eye conditions, you can just try it. They don't really get to test that until they actually try the software, though, because many other screen magnifiers have the same sort of things. But if you're just looking at a piece of paperwork, they're always printed normally, obviously, to fill the paper. So you won't know if somebody prefers this mode until they try it on a computer system. Then we have
vertical.
Number 5, vertical. This is sometimes very useful for users with retinitis pigmentosa or tunnel vision. They actually tend to get less distortion looking vertically up and down than they do left to right. And again, with nystagmus, it can really help users as well, just to stay focused on the words as they're reading them, and they can read much faster for longer periods and more comfortably. That's the 5th. And the final one, number 6, is a single word. This one tends to be for users that need very large magnifications, or if you've got somebody with learning difficulties that may be learning words or learning to read, a younger user as well. That's what the 6th one is for. But the nice thing with this is there's no going into a menu, no need to change settings on it. It's instant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just run through. There's the image
overlay, word,
literally as quickly as I can.
Column vertical
between them, and it remembers the view and the magnification and all the settings that you set every time you leave the software and come back in. So once you've set it to your preferred preferences, it's all there ready for you when you get back. The other things it can do that I won't go into, but it's all in the menus. You can change the line spacing,
column,
the words, excuse me, the word spacing. You can change the font. So this is actually automatically changed whatever font this document is in into a sans serif font, which tend to be clearer for visually impaired users to see, because you don't have the fonts sort of running into each other across each character, the letters, sorry. So that's the setting by default on that. Then you've got things like the highlight color, and you can change the highlight. The default is a rectangle, but you can choose underline, inverse highlight. You can turn the highlighting off. Actually, some users find it distracting having that sort of updating every time.
And other airborne allergies.
Other things you can do are center the word that's being read in the middle of the screen every time. So it will automatically then center the word as it's being read, so you don't have to move your eyes across the screen on there. Sorry, I should have just realized you've been looking on a small screen on my desk probably rather than at me, but it might be better than seeing me copying anyway. So that's quite a nice feature, but certainly for the horizontal view where you can keep the word being read centered on there, works very nicely for reducing the amount of movement the user has to do with their eyes, which again, if they get very tired from that, which many conditions that can happen, that just helps reduce that and means that the person can read for longer periods. Then what else have we got? So the other way of navigating on this for users that do like to read their eyes, but with their eyes and not so much the speech, is what's called screen by screen reading. So we have icons up on the toolbar here, but I've actually made the toolbar a bit too big because you can customize these, and I've lost the icon off the end for that. But I know the shortcut key for these. All the controls in the menu,
navigation,
self-voicing, have the keyboard shortcuts, if there is one for it, next to it. So if we go into navigation, what I'm going to do is screen reading. And we've got next and previous screen on here. So it's greater than and less than, or full stop and comma, the keys sort of just to the left of shift and to the right of the letter M on the keyboard. So with those
allergies,
I clicked on the word there. If I now push next screen, I can read the text that's on the screen. So allergies such as house mite and pet allergies can. Now if I press the next screen button, it'll instantly jump me to the next screen worth of text. Also be taken for allergic skin conditions, next screen, including rash, itching, and nice things actually. Maybe I should have picked a paracetamol packet rather than loratadine, but this way, again, some users much prefer reading like this rather than having the text moving all the time, which is what they're used to with a traditional video magnifier where you have an XY table and the page sliding around. That can be tiring for some users. Whereas this, the text can stay static and they can just read it at their own speed and just push next screen button as soon as they need to advance it. So many users prefer that. Realize there's a lot of different ways to take into account here, but that's why we always recommend a half-day training with Readit, and then we go through the the users sort of process the documents they need to read, what they may need to import as well, because it's not just physical documents, it's being able to do all this to any document you import into the Readit software as well, and then finding a workflow that is sort of optimum for them. It doesn't take very long, because it's normally you can just show them the different colors, the highlighting modes, and they go, that one's clearer, and they'll also then know in the menus how they can change those. So that's kind of the visualization side of things on there. I just look at my notes and get some water. The other thing then is for blind users. So this, obviously I've touched, this is a brief overview of the visual side of things for the Readit software. But for blind users, they'll just be listening to the text. But the Readit products are properly designed for totally blind users as well, users with no vision whatsoever, which is why we have the physical positioning guide to allow a user to slide an A4 page accurately up against the camera and know it's in exactly the right place to take a picture on it. So if I just pause my screen sharing for a minute and then switch back to my camera down here just to highlight that. I've got a fictitious credit card detail. I'm afraid you can't use these. They won't work. So don't try and steal them. The card expiry date's already expired on there. So you just place it on here. I can then just, with the Readit software, to take a picture, just push the enter key again, snaps the picture, recognize it, or remember the mode we're in last time. It's already processed the entire page on here. If I put it back to image, I can show you there's the whole page. It's cropped around it. And then it's recognized all the text on here, and it's in exactly the right place. So just by lining up by touch, I'll put my screen share back on here. There we are. Then you can see it's captured it, and it's almost instant on the modern computers now. It's for a standard simple document like this is, even with a table, and it's less than a second of time to actually recognize. So very, very fast. The high resolution camera helps, but also obviously computers have come on a long way since sort of 11, 12 years ago when Readit first launched. So that helps as well. It means people aren't sat waiting 15, 20 seconds for a page to process. If they've got to get through 15, 20 bits of paperwork an hour, that makes a big, big difference to their productivity and puts them on a much more level sort of playing field with other sighted members of staff who don't need to do this. But they then get some added advantages. So if you need to use it for data entry, so you might need to take some of this information and then put it into a CRM package or an accounts package, you can right click on a document or command click. So you can do it with a keyboard shortcut as well. And then you can choose to copy the sentence, paragraph, page, or the entire document to the clipboard. So you can then very quickly and easily just grab bits of information from the document and then paste them. Control V is the shortcut, obviously for paste. So you can then paste them into another program very, very easily. So again, from a productivity point of view, very, very handy if the user isn't a really high speed touch typist on there. So this highlights really the advantage of the overlay view for a user, because you've still got the text
Image.
replaced
Overlay.
with their chosen color combination. It's replaced the font, really perfectly clear whatever size they go to, but you can clearly see the table markings as well if you have vision, so you know exactly what things relate to on here, and it's very easy to quickly to zoom in and zoom out and move around the document with it as well. So that's one that just highlights that. Okay, so that. Let's see what else we've gone to then. What we've also got now is an updated keypad for the Readit software that supports. It actually works with our, I'll just stop sharing a second and switch on here. Hopefully you can see. So this keypad here is a Bluetooth keypad. So it'll work directly with a laptop, but we actually provide a Bluetooth dongle for it. It comes with it as well. This allows a user who may want to multitask. So they may need to be using the Readit software to read a document, listen to it, and take information from it. And then have another application open like a CRM or Microsoft Word or Outlook if they're replying to an email or something else, they're putting information into that. And by using this keypad, they don't have to Alt-Tab backwards and forwards between the Readit software and the other program that they're working with and entering data onto, because this will control the Readit software even if the Readit software isn't visible on the screen. As long as it's running, it will allow the user to control it. So I've got the play pause button in the middle here, and this is the keypad. It all has tactile buttons. They're all different shapes, sizes, and colors. and they have tactile markings on them. So the play pause button has a pip in the center of it, and then to the left and the right of that you have forwards and backwards a sentence. The outside of that you have forwards and backwards a paragraph, and you have the capture button in the bottom right. It has a little picture of a camera on there, but it's actually just has a raised rectangular shaped button on it. Makes it very easy to press. Have a multi-page button as well, which I'll go on to in a minute, which makes it very, very quick and easy to capture big, long documents. Extremely fast to do that. Cancel button, menu button, a help button as well, so you can push this, and then you can push any other button on the keypad. It will describe what it does to you. That's a triangular button in the top left corner. And then we have a navigation dial. So this, as we rotate it, jumps one word at a time, and you can do it very quickly to skip forwards and backwards accurately through the document, like a fast forward and rewind control. If I take the simplifier off, we have a magnetic simplifier on there to cover up magnification controls mainly. So the yellow buttons we have on here, there are 4 controls that are yellow. They're all involved with, for low vision users. We have a visualization button in the top left sort of area. That allows you to cycle through the 6 different views that we had. You have a mode change button, so that goes between document and camera view. Big magnification dial, so as you rotate that, it changes the zoom. In the middle of that is color mode, so you can cycle through the color combinations on there. You also then have a joystick, which is sort of nailed like an Xbox controller, so it's nice and grippy. And you can use that instead of a mouse pointer as well to move around the document that you're on, and also use it for scrolling the text as well. Final button on there, sorry, is bookmarks as well. So you can add bookmarks into the document you're on to quickly then jump back to a particular position in that document. Not very useful for single page documents, but if you've got a 50-page contract that you need to reread and go through things, or a really long journal that you're looking at for university, then bookmarking the document you're reading can be useful for that. So that's the keypad. It's an optional extra for it, but for users productivity wise, it can be really, really handy for that, because it just works, and the range is sort of 10 meters on it. Batteries, it takes 2 AAA batteries, lasts for about 5 years of normal kind of 4 or 5 hours a day use. So very, very long time on the batteries as well, and just standard ones to replace. So that's the Readit wireless keypad. That's a nice addition. Let me just jump back on here. There's only another few features really to go through on Readit, and then we'll jump to the Zen Max camera showing the A3, and then we'll go on to another camera unit. So if I share my screen again. Yeah. Hopefully you can see that on there again. So a couple of other nice features that Readit now has is it has an integrated printer called the Readit printer. So if I go on here, if I go to, I think I found somewhere, it's like on an Amazon page. There's a nice quote on here. So you've got an image of something that you can't see. There's multiple ways to now get this into Readit very easily. So we can use the Windows shortcut key for taking a screenshot. So that's Windows, Shift and S. And then if you're a low vision user, you can just drag a box around this, and this will copy this to the clipboard. Then we can just go to Readit and simply paste it. Edit, paste, or Control V. So I'll just use the shortcut key. Paste.
The older you get, unless you're a banana.
It was quicker than I thought. So
the older you get, the better you get. Unless you're a banana.
There we are.
Betty White.
So,
a banana.
Got an amusing quotation on there. So it's instant, because as soon as you paste the image in, it recognizes it, and then it allows you to have it read back out loud to you as well. So it means anything that isn't accessible on there, you can use Readit to very quickly grab it and then make it accessible. For a blind user who can't see that, where the image is, and use a mouse to do that, you can use a shortcut key to print the whole screen to read it. The shortcut key for that is Control Alt and print screen. So if I go back to that screen on there, and it will do all of it, it'll do the menu, do everything that's on here. So Control Alt,
recognizing.
there we are, it's recognizing.
The older you get, the better ye get.
There we are. So it's actually recognized the tab at the top of the screen where it was, all the Amazon buttons and things on here. So the difficulty with this is you've then got to wade through the whole screen worth of text to get to the part that you were interested in, but it's very accurate and very, very fast. And then here we are, here's the quotation part.
The older you get, the better you get, unless you're a banana.
There we are. Thank you, Daniel, on that one. So, or Brian, sorry, it is on there. So again, This can be very useful for older programs that the user may have to use, where parts of the screen might not be accessible, or there's a part on an older CRM system where they need to grab text from to then be able to listen back to. So because it's so fast, and literally it's the only difficult bit really is learning the keyboard shortcut. Again, that's all in the menu. So under Edit, Capture Active Screen, Control Print Screen. So that will do the entire screen, or the active window, which is one I did. Is Control Alt Print Screen. So the only difficulty you get with that is if you don't have a print screen key on your keyboard, which some laptops don't, but they are normally there, but you may have to press a function button to actually access that print screen button on there. So that's the very handy print screen feature. And copying and pasting things into Readit as well. And you can do that with documents too, not just image files. So any PDF files you can just paste into Readit. It will then OCR them and then enable you it will recognize them all and make them fully accessible. So very, very nice way of doing that. If I just show the export functionality as well.
Page 4, page 3, page 2.
Ship.
To it's going to create a multiple page document. If I go to File and Export, we have all the standard formats. So PDF, RTF, text file, Word document, JPEG, and MP3 as well for audio for listening to. So somebody just needs to listen to something they're studying and need to and work well with audio. You can just make an audio file version of it and then listen to it on your phone or any other audio player device as well. If I pick PDF for now, though, and this will just by default just save into documents.
Export options.
We then get some very nice extra options. So you can actually export it with your chosen color combination of the text. So if it's just you that's going to need to look at this again, and you need to store it on the server or somewhere as a PDF, or you're using it for creating a textbook that you want to make accessible and you can view just on a PDF viewer on a different device, a tablet or a laptop or another device, you can choose the text and background color. So I can leave it in black and white and we'll export on here. Layout retention exact. So this will preserve the position of the text on the page exactly as it is. That's the only option now for PDFs on here. Retain typefaces. So if you want to keep the typeface the same, you
unchecked.
But many times
serif.
people would just prefer sans serif on
sans
there.
serif.
They normally choose on there. Retain font style. So that's if you've got bold or underline, italic, you can keep those on there. They can the style of the font actually gives useful information. So I normally recommend to leave that on for low vision users that can see it. Remember my preference. Leave that tick because it saves these settings. And then action, open with the default application. So once this is exported, if you have this
open with default application,
you can do nothing. You can open it with your default PDF viewer, or you can open the folder that the file's exported to. You can choose. So I'm going to save some time and do open with the default application.
Default application.
Click OK.
Exporting.
There's 4
Export
pages.
complete.
It's really quick. So it's done all the 4 pages I've
document.
done here. Here's the Readit tablet box. So I'm using the mouse wheel and it's jumping through too quickly. This is just standard Adobe PDF reader. I can zoom in and all of this text is fully grabbable because it's created an accessible PDF file on here straight away. And it's almost instant for anything up to kind of 5 pages. And then it only takes, well, it's fractions of a second a page. So very, very fast for people's workflows. Again, if they have paper-based documents that need to create an accessible version of, this is brilliant for it on there. If I then jump on here, you can see all the text on here is now fully accessible on the document we just had. So really, really powerful for students and business users needing to change the format of documents on there. That's pretty much it. I mean, there is a quick export function, which then allows you a shortcut key to do the same thing. So once you've set it up, and if you keep doing the same thing, you can here, quick export options.
Quick export options.
You can choose your formats.
Word document.
So I pick PDF
Portable
again.
document format.
And then you can just do Control Q as the shortcut key, and that will then just export that into a particular folder that you choose. So again, for making workflow even faster, you've got a shortcut key just to do the same thing for you on there.
Returning to document.
It's also a nice thing that's added relatively recently is automatic updates on the software as well. So it will check for updates once a day. If there is a new update, it just tells you and asks you if you'd like to download it. It's not huge, the Readit software. It's about 270 megabytes, I think. So, I mean, people's fast internet now, it's less than a minute on fast internet. Sadly, we don't have that here. We're still on standard ADSL, so it takes a good sort of 3.5 minutes to download it on our internet here, but not too bad. With the Readit software as well, because the voices, to keep the package size small, the downloads, the voices aren't built into the software. You then have to download those, and they're available from the VisionAid.com website. they run for 30 days on a free trial as well. So if people want to try the additional languages out, like the Arabic and Chinese and Thai, etc., you can do that, and it will run for 30 days on a trial to see if the accuracy is good enough for what they need it to do. So there's sort of no risk on there. If it doesn't work, they don't have to purchase them. They get a whole full month to test them out. The same with the Readit software. When you install it, it runs for 30 days, so people can try out all the import and exporting functionality, seeing all the views on the software and things as well. So it's just a standard one. For assessors as well, we offer completely free licenses of the software. So if you want to try it on your machine and have it installed on there so you can perhaps demonstrate it remotely if you've got a remote assessment or in person with someone, it works very well just importing PDFs and Word documents and things for users that you can then just show them all the functionality that I've shown here effectively, if you want to. So please, again, just let us know if you're interested in a free copy of it, and we're more than happy to provide one. Only other thing I did want to mention, I don't have to show it really, but it's file and print. So the other thing, we obviously had screenshot grabbing, but on any program that you can print from, like a web browser or an accounts package or anything with a print option, you can now print documents directly into Readit. So I'm on Chrome here, I can do Control P. The default destination is save as PDF on here, but Readit is actually listed as a printer. So when you install Readit, it installs the Readit printer driver. So I can click on here. All the default options are fine on here. I can just choose print. That will now print this into Readit.
Importing.
It's importing it. It actually generates a PDF, then imports it. So this will be the full
Import complete.
So this will create a multi-page document based on an A4 paper size. You can go in and change the paper size of that if you want a larger page document on here. But all of that web page, including if I jump down the other pages,
the 19th of
extra bits
September 2023
on here as well. So a very quick and easy way of getting anything from any program into Readit and making it accessible. All the views are on here that you can then copy and paste the text. You can change the colors, you can enhance it, read it, reformat it, all the different ways to make it easy to read as well. So that's one of the main reasons. If somebody's got a really long web page document, but they read it in column view, you can just print the whole document directly into Readit, and then you can sit comfortably and scroll it, or you can have the speech read it out loud to you as well. So it's sort of a much more powerful version of than the screen readers have, where you have the line views and things on them, because you get all the reformatting modes and you can see pictures and diagrams and things in it as well, just by jumping back to image view or
overlay
view on it as well. I think that's it. So there's a lot in there for that one. We're very quickly just going to show the Zen Max camera, and then we'll do the CoaSt, and then we'll have a break. We'll earn one, everyone, if you're listening to all of this. So if I just stop my screen share. Oh, there we are. I don't want to close the webinar. Make sure I don't do that. So hopefully my camera's still on. It looks like it is. So the Zen Max is physically identical to the unit, except it has a different sticker on it that says Zen Max rather than Zen. So the Max signifies that it will capture A3. So what we do with that, and before I do that, I've just remembered something I haven't done. I was just going to very quickly show you one of the key additional features on the Zen, which is handwriting capability. So the Readit Air camera, some of you may remember, was a very nice camera, even at 5 megapixels, but the frame rate was too low to write underneath. This, we actually have enabled a 30 frames per second mode. So this is currently now sort of 4 or 5 frames a second again, which is too slow to enable you to view it correctly. Let me just start my screen sharing again. Sorry. Oh, what's going on there? There we are. Hopefully you can see that on there. It'll come up. So very slow. If you've got words on here, you can use it to position your pen and write a signature if you know what to do, but it's not fluent enough for you to be able to write with. But we have a very simple way of accessing the higher frame rate on here. We can just go to resolution and go to full HD, high frame rate.
19.
Just takes a second, and now we've got 30 frames a second with very low delay on it. So there's hardly any delay on it. I don't know if it will come across from the picking up me tapping on the page. It's only a few milliseconds effectively, the delay on it. But then that allows you to zoom in, enhance the colors.
Enhanced grayscale.
My pen has vanished. Hang on, I have a pen pot over here. It's hidden underneath something. Where is it? Here we are. If that's the as bad as it gets, me losing a pen, I think I'll be quite pleased with that if this goes on there. So I can just go on here and then just right. If I zoom in a bit more, and then I can just focus on there, on the screen. There we are. That was me looking at the screen on there. My writing's not very good. I don't tend to write very much anymore. But it gives users, if they need a huge level of magnification, you may struggle, but then low vision users, if they're writing notes, will tend to write a bit larger anyway, but it's pretty serviceable, the view on here. And because the delay is so low, it works very nicely. What highlighted there is that because I can digitally pan around this, because the camera is seeing the full view all the time, what happened there was that because I'm left-handed, I had my hand over the viewing area, so I was only just seeing the tip of the pen. To get around that, I can move the page to the left, and then with the mouse, I can scroll over to the right. I'll just zoom out a little bit on that. As it sees such a big area, I'll zoom right in, there we are. So now when I'm holding the pen, it'll be a better angle because it'll actually be looking diagonally down at the pen tip rather than over the top of it. So you can then see the pen tip much better that way. It also means you don't necessarily have to reposition the page. You can just move the viewing area around to see the whole page rather than having to slide the page around the desk all the time. But it's probably easier, in fact, just for the user to move the page around as they're writing. So that's a nice feature, the handwriting one. Right, pop this out of the way. Don't need that one anymore. And what I'll do is unplug this.
Please plug in and turn on the
I'm
camera.
just going to plug in the Zen Max. I'm going to switch camera back again. Stop screen sharing. I wish there was a shortcut key for that. If anybody knows this shortcut key, oh, there it is, Alt S. Yeah. I wonder if Alt S also starts sharing the screen again. I'm just going to plug this in. So again, USB cable on here into my handy extension cable. It comes with an extension cable as well. So that if you've got a desktop machine that you're using it with on your main desk, and then you've got a laptop that you use it with, then you can leave the extension cable plugged in over the desk. So you don't have to keep scrabbling around the back of your computer each time. Now this one comes with a different stand and guide because it has to raise the camera up, because the camera is absolutely identical. It's just focused differently to be optimized for A3. So this guide on here, this just slides out, and then the guide, it's all one piece, effectively, the main part. You just simply lift it up, and then it has a very clever design where the middle leg will lock in to position on this part here. That means that when it's actually set up, the camera can't fall down. You physically have to put your finger in here to lift this leg up to then allow it to fold down and click into position, and it stays shut then. So very easy, you just set it up by literally pulling it upright. And then on here, there are 4 lugs on the top of the area, and the width of this is exactly the same width as the camera itself. The reason that stand just fell down because of gravity. So with that, if you're not holding it level, then obviously this middle leg can fall down. It's just because I'm showing it up to the camera on there. So once it's logged in, if it's normal way up and sitting on the desk, the leg can't come out. So I'll put that down on here. And then on the bottom of the camera are the corresponding 4 holes. So you simply sort of hold the camera a bit further back, and then you slide it forward and it will drop down onto it, and then you keep sliding it forward, and then it sits exactly on the footprint of the stand on there. Then we have a positioning guide. So for blind users, this will go on the left side or the right side. It has a sort of a shaped key to sort of go in, and you can do it by touch and feeling where it sort of goes, just line it up and it sort of locks into place. There is also a little nodule, a nice tactile one in the middle here. This is for capturing an A4 page. So if you want to center an A4 page in portrait, there's a little guide here to make sure it's smack bang in the middle of the camera. But if you're looking at something bigger, like an A3 document or a newspaper page, then that's when you go all the way to the edge of the guide over here. And then you know, if it's the tabloid newspaper pages are a bit smaller than A3 actually. So that's why it doesn't extend quite as far out, but that allows you to then get it smack bang in the middle again. Same when you're capturing books and things like that for blind users. So I'll just slide this back, lift the camera up. It's a bit big on here to all sort of fit in, unfortunately. So, but I'll just capture this newspaper page very quickly, and then that'll be it for that one. So if I share my screen again, let's try Alt S and see if it remembers the setting. Ah, there we are. Wish I'd known that 3 years ago. It would have saved me some time. So it's remember the view mode because we're in white on black before, and we're in the high frame rate mode. Now you can do the high frame rate mode for writing underneath with the Zen Max as well. The only downside is that because the camera's higher up, the quality isn't quite so good. So there are sort of limits on it. So if you've got a user that doesn't need the larger format A3 capture, would always tend to recommend the Zen. It's a little bit less expensive as well. It's £1,395 with the Readit software. I haven't even mentioned prices of things yet. The Zen Max is a bit more at £1,595. We will be sending out a summary email with everything, just a short sort of paragraph or two on every product as well, with the links to them for people as well, so you don't have to remember them off the top of your head. So yeah, it's a little bit more because you get the stand with it as well, and it's optimized for the A3 capture side. If I put it back to color, when I switch to capture mode, it automatically switches back to the full resolution. But just to show you, you can do it on here as well. You can go to resolution and then switch back here, and then the frame rate drops and you get the full quality 18 megapixel picture. So I can capture on here.
Capturing.
Excuse me. A3 takes a little bit longer to process.
Recognizing.
Very fast on a modern computer now.
The times I Saturday, January 15th, 2022.
Just pause it there. If we zoom out, there are certain things on here that colored backgrounds still on text-to-speech can struggle with. Main text, it's absolutely fine. It's got this colored background with you've got a number in a circle. It's a good point there to highlight two things. So if you have missed something, that's where the ability to jump back instantly to image view and then enhanced
grayscale
into your chosen two color mode can allow a low vision user to still see the text, which is really useful. A blind user, unfortunately, at the moment, they're out of luck. If it doesn't recognize it, the same with any OCR system, you just can't do anything with it. You may have to ask a colleague to help with it. But obviously newspapers are challenging for things like this because of the colored text and colored background. It does get the vast majority of them because the engine used is the newest sort of latest one. What we have coming in an update to Readit, which will be on Readit version 6 though, is online recognition. So you'll have the option to send this image off to the cloud. We've already demonstrated this actually in May this year. We've taken the difficult decision to postpone that while we actually completely, the Readit software is being completely rewritten from the ground up with a brand new architecture, which will allow it to work on any platform as well. But it makes sense to add the online OCR at that point, just because of the time saving. That's what we've been told on it anyway. So that's going to be coming in a future feature. The nice thing with that is that it literally reads anything. So handwriting, colored backgrounds, labels on products, including logos, literally anything, it will read out loud. Even sometimes it can interpret things that humans will struggle to read, and it will get it to a way that it's understandable. It's phenomenal on there. I'm sorry I haven't got a version on here that I can show that running. We do have a very prototypey version, but it's too long off, too far away to show it now anyway, because we never like to show something that's going to be more than a few months away for users, because it means you can't really recommend it, not knowing if it's guaranteed to come out on that time frame. But it's coming, and that'll be really exciting for low vision and blind users as well. So yes, it's the A3 capture, the larger format ones, very, very powerful. I'm just going to quickly show as well for how fast Readit is at capturing things as well. So if you've got, say, a student may have journals or books they can't get in electronic format, younger students as well, or some users might still just prefer reading with books. Some users are still like that if they're used to that at school. Their eyesight may have only recently deteriorated. It's a workflow they're used to and comfortable with. It's another reason potentially where they may need to do it. But there's still quite often things in coursework that you'll get handouts or documents that you need to quickly capture. So I'm just going to show it with a standard novel here. And the 18 megapixel camera of the Zen Max will be absolutely fine on small text like this. It goes down to kind of 5-point size accurately anyway. Books are all larger than that. The Zen camera, the A4 one, actually goes down to 4-point text. So really, really small, and smaller than anything's really printed, but that's just the power of the 18 megapixel camera. If I make a new document on here though, Control N is new.
New document.
I've got a new document with no pages. If I want to capture a single page, it's just Enter, but I can use Shift and Enter to do multi-page. So I can capture.
Multiple capture started.
On there, and I've moved the page so it beeped. It'll take the picture.
Turn page.
And it's told me to turn the page. If I don't turn the page, it simply sits there and waits for me to turn the page. So there's no kind of rush thinking, oh, I've got a time or anything I've got to go by. I can literally just casually turn the page. It's when it sees the page turning, that reinitializes the capturing. I hold it still again.
Turn page.
Right. But once you get used to it, you can turn the page and I can just push the Enter key.
Turn page.
So as quickly as I can reposition the pages, you need to give it a split second to update.
Turn page.
But you can very easily on a book like this do actually say 20 pages per minute, but it's actually more than that. I'm not going to do the entire book, don't worry.
Turn page.
It's very, very easy.
Turn page.
And to stop it, I just push the escape key.
Multiple capture stopped.
And it's now recognized all of those pages in the background.
Pages.
I have all of these on here.
No title.
and I can
Page
click on a
7.
page,
Page
and
7.
it jumps me
Returning
7,
to
so it's done
document.
14 pages in that amount of time. And I've then
Image.
got
Binary.
all the different ways to view them as I
Color.
had. So you can see the original text. I can click on a
Blessed
word, it
be.
will read it. All the
Column.
reformatted views, everything I had before on there. So very, very fast, very accurate. And the page straightening it does is very powerful as well. So this book's actually, the spine looks like it's a bit broken. It's one I've been using for a while, I think. But if I jump back and just present it to capture
Capturing.
page, I can bend the book up. So as long as the camera can see it, so I'm actually bending it round to be like a tin of food kind of bend level on here. There is a limit on it, obviously. So if I hold it still there, it's done it. Taking the page.
Recognizing.
100.
So if I put it back to the image view, number one,
Image.
you can see these lines across here. Low vision user with vision on here can see that these lines are perfectly straight. If I go up to the top, there's a grey area, which hopefully some of you can see on there, that it then shows how much straightening it does on each page individually. So it doesn't really matter how you position the page. It's 360-degree rotation as well. As long as it's under the camera, it will do a really, really good job of it. Obviously, if it is, you're going to be slightly better results if the page is relatively flat. You can see on here as text goes into the spot,
Overlay.
it's still got it,
Image.
but it's going to be struggling. If I'd gone any more and the text had been bent up even more, then simply the camera wouldn't be able to see the text properly, and that's when it's then going to have problems. But really, really powerful way of capturing on there. But that's the Zen Max. That's £1,595 with the Readit software, and that allows the users to install 3 licenses.
Stop all speech. Stop all speech.
He left her alone.
Sorry, I was trying the shortcut key, but it's also a shortcut key in Readit, so it doesn't work when it's on there. So that's yes, the Zen and the Zen Max units with the latest Readit version 5.5 of the software that's running. So all of those features are on that. The user also gets free upgrades on the software for at least 12 months on it. So the Readit version 6 will be included at no charge for people who have it now. And then we only, I think the previous charges, whenever there has been a charge, it's only sort of, it's not hundreds and hundreds of pounds, it's sort of 100 or 150 pounds to do the upgrade generally on it for future features that may come. The keypad unit, the Bluetooth keypad is £295. So if a user needs that or will benefit from that as well, even with the Zen Max, it keeps everything, it's still under £2,000 is the standard pricing for that on those. I will see quickly if there are any questions. The chat box isn't working. Any of the questions and answer sessions. I've not seen any questions in there. Not to worry though. If you do think of any, please, the Q&A box at the bottom there you could use if you'd like to, if you do have any questions. Right. So last one, and then we'll have a break. The CoaSt camera I'm going to go on to. So this is a brand new camera, which is out of my reach. So excuse me a second. Need longer arms. So this is the camera here. It's a very neat, small, compact camera. I'm going to switch camera back on here so I can show you it setting up on here. It's called CoaSt because when we showed it to school to have a look at, they actually said it looks like a camera on a stick. And then if you work it backwards from there, from the letters, camera on a stick is where CoaSt came from, and it's kind of stuck, and we quite like it. But because that's effectively what it is. It doesn't look like a stick. It's actually a tripod, this part. So this unit, why has it been created? There's been a big ask for students. A lot of the time, we've just gone through with Readit of showing you how useful it is for accessing printed-based material. If they don't need to access printed-based material anymore and everything is online and there's no risk of that, then the key thing that's missing for education and sometimes for business users in meetings is being able to see what's going on in the distance. So that is what this camera has been created for, solely for allowing the smallest, neatest, lightest solution for somebody to be able to sit anywhere in the room or the lecture theatre or the meeting and see further than someone with 20/20 vision can see. And that's what it allows. So it weighs 350 grams, so not heavy at all. And this is actually the magnetic tripod legs that come out. So you then get a really strong, stable platform for the camera. It won't fall over on there when it's on its standard height. But this is obviously quite low. But the nice thing for this is if you've got somebody who's got line of sight to a class, to the board or the person teaching or whatever else they might need. If I just grab my laptop, you can put it right next to it, and it doesn't really occupy a huge amount of space. It's just literally the little bit of space on the edge here, which if you have a mouse, that's the kind of the same width that you'd have for that anyway. So it's a very, very compact system and discreet as well. It's not sort of a big unit that somebody immediately knows, oh, that person has a visual condition It could just be they're using it to record the lecture with, because it looks like a camera, and you can do that with it as well. I'll just slide the laptop back out the way, because I'll show it on my my screen on here, just because it's the screen sharing will be better than you looking at my laptop screen. But it's very simple as well. There's only a zoom in and zoom out button. They're tactile, clicky buttons on here. It has a lens protector that just simply slides down and reveals the camera lens behind it. So when you're not using it, just slots up and then it magnetizes into place, so it won't fall down with gravity. You have to pull it down, and it magnetizes in a down position as well, and then push it back up. Stand sits on the table. If you don't have line of sight, then the very easy way to allow you to have line of sight, hopefully, is to simply grab hold of it and lift it up. So it goes up to 430 millimeters, which should then enable you, unless you've got somebody right in front of you, to, if you're looking up normally tilted up slightly to look at a screen, you should be able to see over people's heads with that. So very, very simple. And if you don't need it, I'll just show it sliding down again. Just slides down like that. It's a single USB-C connection. And this was quite a tricky decision early on, I believe, for them to decide with whether it was USB-C or USB-A, but it actually comes with a converter. So everyone comes with a 1 meter USB cable that comes out of the camera. You then get a 1.8 meter USB extension cable, USB-C, and then you get a USB-C to A adapter, because still there's a lot of laptops and computers that don't have USB-C on them, the universal connector. So you get everything you need to be able to connect it to any device. The nice thing with this is as well that it actually just appears as a webcam. So any computer device that allows you to use a webcam, you can use the full zoom, optical zoom power of this camera with that device. So MacBook devices, Chromebooks, obviously Windows laptops where we have the Readit software option as well, which I'll run through quickly. But it just opens up even Android tablets. Actually, I have my daughter's, if we have time, I've got my daughter's 4-year-old Samsung Galaxy tablet, USB-C connection. It's only USB 2 on that, but it works absolutely fine. So this will work on USB 2 or USB 3. Quality is slightly better on USB 3, but it's marginal, the difference. So literally any device user can plug it in. So I've got an extension cable here, so I'm just going to plug it in on there. And Readit's detected and switched to it. So this is now using, I haven't had to exit Readit. It obviously detects the different cameras and just switches. If I just zoom out, and then I'll share my screen so you can see what it's looking at on there. So hopefully that's now showing a view across the room with me in the way of it. So this is minimum zoom. All I'm going to do is push the zoom in button, and we can then have a look at things across the room. So I've got an eye chart on there. Let's zoom in on that to start with. This is a 10 times optical zoom. So with this, and I need to make we've got the digital zoom from Readit as well. So the bottom line, the 20/4 size that you're only supposed to be able to read at 1.2 meters on here. This is better than 20/20 vision. The 20/20 vision one is the line at the top with the red line underneath. If we digitally zoom in on this, I can read that. So ZCTLOPDFE. I'm not sure if that quality comes across on there, but if I just quickly switch back to, if I stop sharing, I'll just show you just the sort of distance of how far it is. It's actually about 5 meters away from me here. I stop the show. If I twist the camera around slowly on there, that's it on the wall over there. The eye chart, so the big letters are big there, but the small ones, I mean, I can read the 20/21 and the one below it. It's actually an enlarged, that should be A4 printed, so it is twice the size that it should be. I can get to 2 lines below the red line on there, from where I am here. But below that, it's even though I got new glasses the other week, unfortunately, my eyesight's not good enough to see that. So effectively, straight away, that means that anything you'd expect a sighted user to be able to see in a business meeting or a classroom environment, a low vision user, as long as they've got enough sight to be able to target it, they will be able to have a very good go at being able to see it. Other key things on this are the fact that we have image stabilization in the software. So this you've probably seen on other products that we have as well. The Readit Scholar HD is the only other one that has proper image stabilization integrated into it. I think the Onyx Pro does as well, that we do now, a tablet-based solution. But in terms of a neat small camera system, there's only the Transformer HD with Wi-Fi that we do as well. Sadly, that one doesn't have stabilization in it, and the same with the LVI student unit. So if you have any sort of knocking on the desk, I can show you the difference. because we can turn video stabilization
Video
off here.
stabilization set to
Right now it's on the
disabled.
desk. Hopefully you're sort of seeing it's bouncing around like crazy. And this is also when the stand is on the minimum height. If I extend this up to the maximum height, because you've got to look over somebody's head, you then get extra bounce. I'll just retarget the on there. So if I'm now just tapping the table, it's bouncing around everywhere.
View.
I then go to turn on the
Video stabilization set to enabled.
Much reduced. So if you've got somebody walking around the classroom, you've got a small desk somewhere on a seminar that you're on and somebody's walking around, the vibrations you get that really cause problems with that are almost eliminated with this. It's not completely, but the stabilization makes a huge difference. So that comes with the Readit software and also the Readit Lite software. So just quickly touch on that. So the Readit software is the same as we've already done. We can capture at the distance, we can OCR this, it will read it back out loud. We got all the import and export functionality that we went through before. But the standard version of the CoaSt will be the CoaSt with Readit Lite software. So that will be just a viewer app that has the stabilization in. It has video recording with audio as well. There's a microphone in the camera, so you can actually record audio from this, or you'd be able to choose the microphone on your laptop if that's better. And it just allows you then color changing,
Enhanced
digital
grayscale.
zoom, panning, focus control as well on it. But just very simple, just a toolbar of icons to access with shortcut keys for them as well. So really simple, no real training needed. People will just pick it up straight away. So that unit is £1,295. Then if they want the fully fledged Readit software with it as well, it would normally be £1,795, but there's a launch offer for any product that's purchased before the end of the year, and it's £1,545, so a £250 saving. So for £1,545, they get the full Readit software and the Readit Lite software and the camera unit as well. Excuse me, sorry. The other thing on there, yeah, because of the digital zoom on it, let's just put it back into color quickly, and then just show this map. So again, on this map on here, I can read world map, which is up on the top on here, but I can't read any of the place names from where I'm sat. Honestly, they are too small to see. The resolution of this camera is actually 4 megapixels, so it's twice the resolution of full HD, which then means you get fantastic digital zoom on top of that as well. So when I then zoom in on here, I mean, the text isn't perfect, but it is impressive still, and we can still
enhanced grayscale.
And again, this is something that you'd never expect us fully sighted users to see, even from the front of the class. So again, it just really highlights that the visually impaired user will be able to sit anywhere that they want from there. And then the nice thing is you can just literally pan around the image, rather than having to. That's the other key thing, because of the digital zoom. You don't have to grab the camera head and move it left and right and up and down, and left and right and up and down all the time. You literally just zoom in, move around with your touch screen if it's a tablet device or a touchscreen enabled device, or your mouse, and click around to move wherever you need to. So it's much easier and quicker than having to find where you are by physically moving the camera head around. One more thing to show on this. Let's stop screen share on there. This, although it's stable on the tripod, tripod, I'm hoping everyone's had the full video of what I've been showing on there. Just realized I didn't pin it, but hopefully it does when you're presenting. It is stable, but if somebody comes, it depends on the classroom environment that you're in, I suppose, and how well the meeting or the teacher is dealing with it. There is obviously a tipping point for it, and if it falls over, I mean, it is a rugged camera, and we designed it so the camera head itself is rugged and grippy as well. But obviously they're not designed electronic devices to be smashed on the floor and off a table and onto a hard floor necessarily. We haven't done a drop test on it, but I'd say there's a good chance it would survive. But if there's any worry on that, that's why we include a desk clamp. So this thing comes with the CoaSt with Readit and the CoaSt with Readit Lite. So it's very neat, small, 190-gram clamp, clamped up to 70mm desks, 7 centimeters. I mean, that'd be a very thick wooden table you'd be having somewhere, a very posh meeting room if you needed a desk bigger than that. And it simply slots onto the desk. I'll just tighten it up on here. Then on the camera itself, you simply close the legs up, they magnetize into place, and then you just slot it in there. And that is then rock solid on there. Even if somebody bangs into it, you'd have to snap the camera on basically to actually get it out of there, unless you lift it up first. That has the added benefit, it actually makes the camera go even higher. So it's up to 0.5 meter then when it's in the stand upright on there. So you get even more head clearance if you need it as well. And it's so quick and easy to set up. It literally just do that. If I want to pack it away, slide this down, pull this up from there, It's a nice tight fit. Undo that. And then it comes with a hard carry case. Unfortunately, we don't have them here yet. They've not arrived. We've only got the cameras from them, but they're literally only 2 weeks away from the for the hard cases that come with it, where you can fit it in a nice zip up case with the USB adapters and cables as well. So that's it. That's pretty much it. I didn't show the distance capture in OCR, but it does do that in exactly the same way as the Readit. So the nice thing with that is if you've got somebody who wants to capture and then make notes on what's happening in the distance in the meeting, you can just push enter every time a new slide comes up, and you've got that saved in your Readit document as well. So Readit, and then you can just file save. You can export that as a Word document, or just leave it in Readit as a Readit document to access when you need it. So now we're going to have a look at another distance camera called a brand new system called the Magnibot. It's from a company called TriSight. So this unit is completely unique. There was one other motorized camera system in the past from a company called HIMS, who we still deal with certain devices. But this is a much neater, smaller, more compact version of it. So we have, I'll just hold it up on here. So it's a 10 times optical zoom camera, full HD, the same as the, well, similar to the CoaSt camera that we went through. Has the option of a Wi-Fi dongle to stick in to the unit, because it's only Wi-Fi connectivity to the device, the tablet, or as we said before, anything with a Wi-Fi connection and a browser, you can then use to view the image on the camera. What you have to do is connect your device to the Magnibot. It creates its own Wi-Fi hotspot. If you have this extra Wi-Fi aerial connected in, it then shares the internet connection. So the really nice thing on this, because what happens with other Wi-Fi devices is as soon as you do a Wi-Fi link directly to the camera, you then lose the internet connectivity on that device. So if you're in a meeting and you need to access an email, or you need to go on your shared OneDrive or Google Drive, you're out of luck. You have to disconnect the camera, reconnect to Wi-Fi, get the document you need, save it for offline use, reconnect to the camera, and then if you've got to do it again, it just gets very frustrating. So with this, you maintain your internet connection, and then this is still created a Wi-Fi hotspot. So it's very, very clever what they've done with that. The nice thing on this is, well, it runs from battery for up to 5 hours. Realistically, maybe 3 or 4 hours. It just depends how much motorized moving you're doing with it on there, and some of the other camera settings. But it only weighs about 750 grams, I think. So it's not a heavy device at all. And comes with a nice case as well, a zip-up case, hard case to protect it. On the back, all you have is a USB-C charging port and the on-off button. That's it. I've got it turned on now. I just did it in the break on there. There is also a slot on the back, and we'll go into that shortly, because there's an optional stand which then allows you to position the camera vertically to point it down at the table, so you can use it as a basic kind of magnifier system. It now thinks I've put it into stand mode because it's got a sensor in it when it points down. So apologies for that. It's going to move around. I'm just going to sit back on the desk, and then hopefully it should sort itself out on there. And I'll switch camera. So I've got to have it plugged into my laptop, because unfortunately, if I pair this to the Wi-Fi connection on my webinar computer, the internet will go down, and I don't know if I'll get you back when on the webinar. So I wasn't going to risk it. So here we've got the Magnibot here, and the it's connecting to my laptop. So this is the live image from the Magnibot on here. Now, the Wi-Fi connectivity does mean you get a bit of delay on it, so it's not so good for handwriting and doing practical tasks underneath necessarily, but it does have the freedom that I can put this camera anywhere within Wi-Fi range. So I'm going to point at the same thing that we looked at over there for viewing, and then you get a very straightforward interface. So once you've connected to Wi-Fi, you've just got a web address you go to, which is 192.168.4.1. I've saved that on my favorites bar on here, so that's what we'd recommend users doing, so you have to remember those numbers. It's the same on every Magnibot. And then you just, once you connect to that, you just get this very simple interface on here. Apologies, the quality won't be as good as when it's screen shared. But I can then tell the camera to zoom in, and I can move it around. So because this is a motorized camera, you'll see hopefully on here, I just have to point at the camera a little bit more, just because it's dark on there. My Logitech webcam's not adjusting itself very well. So I can point at that board. There's the same things we were looking at before. So if I zoom up, let's have a look at the eye chart. I can zoom in, exactly the same amount of zoom on it. There is a little bit more noise on the image, but it's not that noticeable on there. Then we can pan it down to look down at the bottom, and we've still got the text on there, the small text, which I can still read on here. So very, very good view, and all from Wi-Fi as well. And then we can digitally zoom in just by the pinch gesture on the keyboard, and then you can pan around in the same way as well. So you've still got that digital panning on it as well, although it's only full HD rather than 4 megapixels, but it's still very, very good. You do have all the 2 color modes as well. So it's you get a little bit of shadowing on it, but it's still good for the main part of the text on here. Very, very sharp. And all the color modes, you can set your custom ones up as well. So I won't go through those. They're the same as on other devices. So the core thing with this is just the fact it works on any platform, and it's Wi-Fi connectivity as well. For example, what I'm going to do is take this camera now and I'll place it somewhere else in the room. So you may not be able to have line of sight, but because you can place it anywhere, I'm actually going to put it up on the top of the cabinet there and point it over at the board over there. So just come up here. Just place it on there. You can then use it as a Wi-Fi camera to sort of walk around the office with as well. I should give you a quick tour. I'm not quite sure the range will reach. It's only designed to be the room that you're in, really, though. So I'll point it back down here. The other thing you can do with it, if you have a touchscreen device, you can move the camera just by putting your finger on it. And then you've got that green line on there. So I can go left and right, up and down. There's the eye chart on there. And then pinch to zoom on there as well. Come down, have a look at the world map. So I've left this running before I started the webinar, so the battery's going down on there. There we are. So then we've got the world map to give you an idea of the quality on there. And then I can use the pinch gestures on the trackpad to do the digital zoom in as well. So it is pixelating a little bit more on there, but still clear. And again, you wouldn't expect a visually impaired user to be able to read that from that distance. So this also gives you further than 20/20 vision user will be able to see. Effectively, that's it for the main software. You've got a few options on here. The same as on the CoaSt, you actually have the ability to switch 50 or 60 hertz. So that's only, all of Europe is 50 hertz. That's the flickering of the lights that you get. You can make the motor move slower if you want to, slow motor movement, but then that fast isn't too fast. So if you want to target things differently, it's normally nice to leave it on the higher speed one. You can lower the resolution, which will save battery life a bit and improve the delay slightly. So from 720p resolution, which is sort of 1 megapixel, or full HD 2 megapixel, but you normally want the best clarity. And then the fast image as well to help lower that delay on it as well. Built-in software checking for updates as well. You can check that. It actually did an update. I risked it this morning when I came in and checked there was an update. So it just updates itself, and then you reconnect on the browser and it just works. You've also got contrast adjustment on here. So if you see the image in the background, that's too much on there, you can just adjust on here to tweak settings based on what you're looking at. Excuse me. From there. Other thing it can do, it's got freeze frame, still image saving, and video recording as well. So you can save, do a still shot, it just downloads it and saves it in your downloads, or you can start a video recording on there. That's now saving this video. So I can move around with the camera, zoom out a bit, stop the recording. That will then save into download as well, and then I can just play it back. I think it's that one on here, is it? Well, this is now the video playing back of me moving. It's a very straightforward way of creating videos for it as well. So the CoaSt has the screenshot feature and video saving too, but it's, yeah, but the simplicity of this app is very, very nice on there for users. You can get rid of the toolbar as well to maximize what you're looking at, but that's it on the unit there. I will show it in the stand though. So an option for it is the Magnibot stand, which is a metal base with an arm that just extends up, and then you simply slot the Magnibot into this part on here. So I'll just go and grab it. And if I slot that in on here, the camera then, the software then detects, and the camera detects that it's now in the sort of pointing down position. I just need to rotate the stand around a bit on there to get it the right way up. So I have to have this this way around. Then you can have it like a basic kind of video magnifier on here. So we can still move the camera around, just straighten it up on there. There we are. The quality sadly isn't as good when it's in this way around because the camera's actually turned through 90 degrees, which means you're then losing the horizontal resolution, which is what you need when you're magnifying something close up on here. But it can still be usable for people, but it's just not as good as a traditional kind of video magnifier would be on it. And there is then quite a noticeable kind of delay, but it's not too bad. For practical tasks, maybe not, but the odd bit of writing underneath, it can be used as well. So it just depends how much handwriting the user has to do as to whether that's going to be an issue for them or not. You've got the color modes on there as well. As we said before, don't think there's not currently any line markers or blind markers for the live view on there at the moment, but it's still a very novel solution, and it means just the fact you can place this anywhere, and also if battery is an issue, because it's just a standard 5-volt charger, you can use a standard power bank. So for £20, you can get a power bank, plug a USB-C connection from the power bank into here, and then effectively that's going to make the battery life more than all day, because the battery's not that large in here. So it's a very easy way around to extend the battery life on it. Any other questions on that one? And now, any questions on that one, I wonder? Well, I've just seen someone ask a question on the CoaSt, so I'll go back to that quickly. From William Nolan, can the CoaSt do handwriting recognition the same as the Zens? It will in the distance, yes, when it has online recognition. The CoaSt currently doesn't allow close-up viewing, but that is something that we've heard might be being worked on, the ability for it to be pointed down to then allow close-up magnifying as well, but we don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. So at the moment, we can only really say that it's a distance camera, but a very neat small one. That's the nice thing with the Magnibot is it does do both. But then that comes on to an important thing, which is the cost. So the Magnibot is significantly more expensive, as you kind of expect with it's actually got a sort of a mini computer built in and the battery and everything on there. So the Magnibot itself, excuse me, is £2,795. And then if you then need the Magnibot stand, it's an extra £280. So it's just over £3,000 for the Magnibot device. Currently, though, it's obviously limited in terms of the number of devices that work on iPads and other devices. The Transformer HD with Wi-Fi does have an iPad Wi-Fi app, but then you lose the Wi-Fi connectivity on that one, whereas you don't on this. So it's very nice from that perspective. And once when CoaSt is fully available, there should be an iPad app on launch. So that would just be plug in via USB-C straight to an iPad, and it will just work with that. So again, some students the nice thing with that is you can have a second screen, because if you've got a lot of students may have iPads, you can then plug in the CoaSt into the iPad. They still will have their laptop to actually be entering and typing things on, but they've then got a dedicated screen to enable them to look in a distance. What I didn't show, because we're a bit short on time, is that for a £150 tablet, Samsung Galaxy Tab A7, a few years old now, literally plug the CoaSt into that via USB. There will also be a dedicated Android app for the Readit Lite Android app as well to do that, to have the same functionality we saw for magnifying and color changing and etc. Will be on that too. So for £150, you then get like an 11-inch display that you can just have sat next to your laptop to then enable and help with the distance viewing too. So just lots of options that just weren't here even a few months ago. So it's quite exciting for students, much more portable, less sort of obvious that it's some special technology that they're using. They're more much cooler devices, much less sort of conspicuous for them. Any other questions on that one? I don't think so. I think we've been answered. Good. So yes, the Magnibot's available now. The CoaSt, so there's the two versions of the CoaSt. There's the CoaSt with Readit Lite at £1,295, and the CoaSt with Readit software, the fully fledged software. That's £1,545 until the end of the year. Then it will go back to the standard price of £1,795. And the Magnibot, so that will be available next month. So from the middle of October. The Magnibot is available now, and £2,795 for the main unit. And then if you need the stand as well to allow close-up viewing, then that's an extra £280 on top. So 1,075, I think, if my maths is working for that. Yeah. Right, next thing we're going to go on to is something completely different. Now something completely different, which will be the dot pad unit. I'm worried I might not have time to show the Clover Book XL, but we had shown that on a previous webinar a few weeks ago. If anybody's interested in that, if I don't have time, then we can send you the link to that one, and it goes through that in great detail, all the different versions of that as well. So let me just reposition this camera. I'm going to turn around and do it on the other table because it'll be easier than moving all these out of the way. There we are. So what is this? This is a Braille display device with more pins than any other device has ever had in it, effectively. There's actually, I'll just get my notes up on here so I don't give you the wrong figures on there. Where's it gone? There we are. Sorry. So there's a 20-cell standard display on the bottom here, 8 pins, obviously for computer Braille on there. So that can be used as a normal Braille display part on there. But the area above is a rectangular area above, which then houses 300 Braille cells, each with 8 pins, which means there's 2,400 pins in the tactile graphics area. There's 160, sorry, from the 20 cells down there, 8 pins in each one on the bottom. So in total, it's 2,560 pins in total on here working. So a lot of pins. Some of you may remember the dot watch, which we provided in the UK. And then as soon as they said they were doing a dot pad, I panicked a little bit because the dot watch, unfortunately, the first generation of their cells weren't the most reliable things, and there were only 4 cells on there. So then the fact there's this many pins and this many cells, I wasn't initially sort of over the moon with the idea of that. But this is now the 2nd generation of their magnetic Braille cell, which is patented, and they have improved it. And we've had this for 2 months now. Obviously been beta and testing it, and it's not every pin still works exactly the same way as it did before. Obviously that's not a long-term test, but that's what they've been doing, is testing and testing and testing it. It does come with a full 2-year warranty on them as well. And they are modular, so they aren't actually that difficult to replace if anything were to happen to it. But what they've done is actually put a thin membrane over the top, which only impacts the feel of the Braille a very small amount. Braillists have tested this, and we initially thought, well, as soon as you put something over a Braille cell, you're not going to be able to feel it very well. But it's a very specialist material they're using, which then stops any dirt or grease from your fingertips being able to get into the cells, and that's what was causing the problem with the original dot watch, or one of the things that was causing the issues. So that's now completely alleviated with this special coating, or special sort of material that goes over the top of the Braille pad. I can't show you the full things of what it can do, but I can show you it on an iPad on here. This is the simplest sort of way to demonstrate it. So you get a nice app on Apple devices. Apologies for the reflection from the overhead light on there. It pairs via Bluetooth, so you don't need a wire on there. This obviously, if you have voiceover on, will be fully accessible. But the whole point of this is that, unfortunately, obviously, the blind user would struggle to create a tactile document themselves, because by the very nature, the document they're creating is visual, so they won't be able to see the document that they're creating. So this would be resources for someone else to use to be able to create the documents that the person needs on there. So we can go to create canvas, and this canvas here then represents obviously all the dots that are on the primary tactile area for here, and it's instant. So I can write my name, and I don't know if that's sort of coming across on the webcam on there. You can see the pins coming up straight away. Strangely satisfying hearing the noise the pins make as they come up on there as well. So that's now just writing my name. I can clear all of that. You can go back by one section as well, so you can remove individual sections, one line, one sort of drawing at a time. You can do shapes. Oh, let's get back on that. So I can draw a rectangle, put a line through it on there, and it's really quick, and it is very tactile as well on here, so you can really feel it. Sadly, they don't have different heights on the pins. It is just up or down binary, but still trying to do something like this with printing something out on special swirl paper through a laser printer and then running it through a printer and a flash device or something that would heat the paper and then create raised tactile diagrams. This then means well, you don't have to, it can just be done instantly. Someone can have an idea, share something with a person straight away. So there's other use cases, so it can be maths as well with graphs. That's a critical thing for students to be able to understand visually. Graph is a very visual thing. Currently at the moment on the software, there's no way to zoom in on the image, but we have been promised that that will be available soon. Again, this is all free software updates on this. There is no charge for this at all. So it's my thumb hitting the screen on there. So that means you'd be able to actually get better resolution by then zooming in on the area and then being able to move around it. And there are 6 navigation buttons on here. And we're told that those will allow a user to move up, down, left and right from a zoomed in image as well to increase that resolution. If I just do something else quickly on there, so we can do it for drawing. If I, I'm on the line there. Sorry, I'll do it on the freehand drawing and try. I'm actually left-handed, but I've sat the wrong side of the webcam, so apologies for this. I'll just try again. Something a little bit more detailed, maybe, but my drawing is not great, I'm afraid. So a little stick man, that could be me. It was my daughter's 9th birthday the other day, so I'll do her. She's actually probably taller than that now as well, but there we go. Terrible drawing of stick pen, but you can sort of hold this up to the camera. Hopefully you can see on there, and it's just nice how responsive it is from the. You can also, there's an interesting thing where you can invert it, so you can actually fill. I'll just erase all of these. Erase all. You can, fill. So that's how fast it can fill the entire tactile area with pins, and every single one has come up on there. It's not missed any. And then you can do it a different way. You can then subtract an area for making troughs in there for sort of reliefs. So it's just a different way of doing it on there. So now if I erase on here, I can erase. I'm writing hello. I won't run out of space. Me. Again, hold it up on here. You can see. So it's just a different way of feeling. You can very much feel that there are parts missing on there. So it's just a different way for somebody to feel the diagram on there. I'll address the elephant in the room on this one. Is the price. So this thing I'm holding here is the most expensive item we've ever had for a visually impaired or blind user. It's £11,995. So it's there are very specific use cases where obviously for justifying it for a user, you can't just say, well, I need a refreshable Braille display like a Humanware Braille X or something like that, which is sort of £3,100 for a 40-cell display. It has to be for the tactile diagram part. We have provided one now to a student who's doing a course where there's maths involved and also history, where they'll be looking at artwork within that. So the other thing you can do on here is actually give the software a picture, and it will convert it into Braille based on the outlines of the image. Not the outlines, sorry. It analyzes the image and then takes the edges of the image and converts that into Braille. And there's different parameters you can use. There's a slider to adjust that. So they will be able to effectively feel an image that's required, which then if you have to write about it, that's a very good use case for it. It's the first one that was sold only a week or so ago we've had for it. Business use cases, not quite so sure on that. It's more, it's tricky whether there are diagrams that a person would need to access that need changing regularly. So rather than the other option, which is the printer and a flash, and somebody else creating the diagrams for them that way and then updating them. With this, it's much easier to obviously just update the file sets that are on there, and you can just access them from it on there. Well, they're saying about the price. I did some very simple calculations on it. So yes, it's expensive, but because there are 2,560 pins, it's £4.69 per pin on this device, which does that sound a lot? I'm not sure, but if you compare that to one of their best-selling other Braille devices, we have the Brilliant BI40X from Humanware, 40 cells, 320 pins, £3,095. That's £9.67 per pin, so nearly twice the price on a normal Braille display. for the number of pins versus that, and that's one of the best price ones. There's other ones from Help Tech and ones which are £1,000 more for a 40 cell, so the price would be even higher, but I've picked a very good, well-priced one that's popular. So when you look at it that way, it's actually, and considering the technology they've got on it, and the fact that this isn't going to be sold in the same kind of numbers as a standard refreshable Braille display that any Braille user will want, it actually doesn't sound too bad. Still a lot of money though. So the justification needs to be very careful for it. And obviously, we haven't mentioned, but we can do demonstrations of these either remote or in person for them, and we don't charge for those. Somebody actually can try it and then try and understand how useful it will be and whether that usefulness is going to be justified for the cost of it. So same with all the products. I know time-wise is very difficult for Access to Work and DSA, but we do remote demonstrations of the products as well if it's a low vision user, or we can describe it to them and show text-to-speech working on different documents over the Zoom or Teams meeting, or Skype or WhatsApp, and we use everything, whatever's easier for the person. Or if there is time, then obviously we're more than happy to do a free in-person demonstration as well for these. So that's it. Obviously, we'll work through a browser as well on a computer. And the feature, I mean, they're just getting started in terms of the software features on it and the ecosystem for it, because it's new. Humanware are using the same cells of this. Is the other thing which is reassuring. They will be releasing a product, hopefully next year, might be the year after, based on exactly the same Braille hardware as this. So there will be two devices running the same hardware on it. We don't know sort of indications of price on that yet, or exactly when it's going to be available, but this one is available now. So yeah, so that's the dot pad. Let's move that out of the way. And then, I meant to say the weight as well. So it's not actually, it's very solidly made. It weighs 1,200 grams, so 1.2 kilos. It's not a heavy device, obviously much heavier than an iPad, but the same kind of footprint. So we carried around in a nice bag together with just a protective bag over the main unit, and the iPad just slots into a padded case as well on the same thing. So they all work nicely together. Of course, you can just use a computer to connect to it if you want to as well. How long? 15 minutes left. So then I think we'll miss the Clover Book XL for now, only because we showed it on our last webinar. So apologies if somebody's really keen to see that. I mean, it is a fantastic product for portability and the extra pivoting sort of screen part, which I'll just very quickly show on it on here. So the nice thing with this, if you're familiar with the standard Clover Book or something like a Prodigy Connect 12 or any other kind of tablet-based device, they only really pivot like this. So it's not bad, but you're obviously then looking down over the screen. Whereas with this, you can then just pivot the screen up and adjust the height, because the main camera is pointing down here from underneath the unit. So you almost want this to be as horizontal as possible. But then by tilting that screen forward, you get a much better viewing angle. There's 3 versions of this as well, starting from sort of 1,795 up to 2,745 for the one that does OCR, distance viewing, sort of everything built into one. So I'm sorry I've run out of time on that, but because we've done it before, please just ask and we can send the link to the webinar where we run through all of it on there. It's a great system for portability for someone that needs a bigger screen unit and mainly distance viewing and possibly text-to-speech as well on it. So I will just very quickly hopefully show this. There's another unit that's not quite ready yet, but it'd be nice to show, because we've not shown this one on a webinar yet before. It's called the Helix HD Pro. I'm going to have to share my screen on this one, or physically show the screen because it's an HDMI connected camera device. So hoping this will switch correctly and I don't lose everyone when the camera updates. Yes, that looks like it's working, I think, is it? Yes. So now if I just switch my camera over. Okay, so this is the Helix HD Pro. It's a very neat sort of small document camera, but it's a 10 times optical zoom. It's actually the same camera that's in the CoaSt unit, but changed slightly. That's why we're not sure. The close-up viewing isn't optimized quite yet, but it's still good enough to show, we think, at this point. But we're hoping it can be optimized further. That's what we've been told it will be. We're just not sure quite how long it's going to take. The estimated release date was November, but it's now into December for it. It's still not too far away, but there's nothing else quite like this. There's the transformer, but that's a battery-powered unit that has both. This is just mains powered. close-up distance viewing, comes with a controller for it as well, to built-in controls on the unit, but you get a Bluetooth controller with it as well. And it doesn't sort of scream assistive technology again. It's actually small enough when you have a monitor on a monitor arm to sort of sit in line with the monitor as well. So you can just put this around in front of it. You can sort of hide it way underneath behind the monitor, and then just use it as an inline desktop video magnifier, but without having the huge video magnifier sort of system in place. Many users who need paperwork, if it's just single bits of paperwork, they may not be needing to have an XY table built in. Some users really like that. If they're using big lever arch folders and things, that's when the XY table platform can be very useful. Other users, we go to them, they've just got the table locked and they just slide a piece of paper around on it. So why occupy all of your desk space with a table if you just want the camera view from it? It's a neat unit. It just folds up down like this. The lights turn off automatically on there. Hold the base and it lifts up. The lights will come back on, and then we can zoom in. We just need to connect the keypad on there because it goes into saving mode, power saving mode. This is again the same technology. It's a 5-year battery life on it, so we can optically zoom in on here. Just reposition on there. Now this camera is 4 megapixels, so twice the resolution of full HD. So if I zoom all the way out, you get an overview on here that is wider than an A4 page on here. But the clarity is very, very good still. So even in 2-color mode on here, I'm sorry for the reflection from the light above. Let me see if I can angle this slightly. That's better on there slightly. I'll move this out of the way. There we are. It's still very, very sharp. So I've got something that everyone quivers when they see now, a gas bill coming in for the company on here. If we can show the zooming up, all I'm doing here is rotating the dial on here. The clarity stays very, very good on this. And the zoom level you can go to is, well, more, if you have a user that needs this kind of level of zoom, they shouldn't really be using a video magnifier to do it with. So it's over 100 times zoom on a 24-inch screen here for it. It's 60 frames per second though, so it's difficult to show on the, I can see on the camera updating on there because it's only 30 frames per second, it sort of loses that, but you have to take my word, it's very, very smooth, no ghosting really, so you can read very, very quickly with it. And then have all the standard features, plus an extra on that, I'll come to that in a second. All the line markers. CoaSt has this as well on the Readit software. Transparent blind markers as well, for the user with nystagmus or conditions that are very sensitive to light. You can change the opacity of those blinds as well if you need to be able to see through. Vertical ones. Multi-line mode, so if you've got to write across text on a page that doesn't have lines, you can actually use that multi-line mode to write accurately. That's a unique feature for the Helix, that the predecessor to this, and the Helix HD Pro, and also signature box. So you can resize that to adjust if you need to sign or fill something in a particular area on the screen. That's just on the dial on the keypad on there. Contrast adjustment, color modes, they're all in there, all the standard ones. Excuse me. But then the camera also does self-viewing and distance viewing. So I can grab hold of the camera head here, simply twist it upwards, and it'll automatically switch to the mode I was in last time on there. I can flip it back round. Oh, it's self-viewing mode, sorry, that's why. But I can force it not to be. I put it into color on here as well. So that is looking over my shoulder at the sign on there. It's the same quality camera as the CoaSt, so you get that huge optical zoom on it, 10 times zoom, allowing you to see further than someone with perfect vision. This isn't battery powered though, so it's not, and it's only HDMI connectivity, so it's not really designed to be fully mobile, as in take it with your laptop and plug it into your laptop. But if you've got somebody working in an office where they need to see if somebody's available at their desk to transfer a phone call to, if they're at reception and they need to see people coming in, that's when the distance viewing part, just two reasons where that distance viewing part can be really useful. It also twists the other way, so you can twist it in the distance that way as well. And then you've got a pivoting camera head on top, so you get almost 90 degrees left and right on there as well. So you've got a really good range of movement. It's got a grippy camera head, integrated buttons on it as well for the zoom controls. It's got a find mode to zoom all the way out, let you zoom back in again. And then on the back of it, you've got the advanced controls for the menu, freeze frame, contrast adjustment, and line markers are on there as well. I've just pulled the power cable out when I lifted it up, I'm afraid. So, but that was the end of the demonstration, thankfully. I'll just show it folding up. It's literally this. So it weighs 1.1 kilos, very light. You can pop it in any standard laptop bag to transport it between home and work or different office locations. There is what's called a mobility pack for it as well. So you can then get an extra set of power cable, carry bag, and a, power adapter for it as well. I think that's £69 or £79. I can't quite remember for the kit of that's going to be available with it as well. But the main unit with the keypad is £1,795. So competitively priced for a higher than full HD 60 frames per second magnifier. That also does distance viewing and close up. That isn't sort of a product that screams assistive technology again to use. It's much sort of sleeker and neater than some of the other solutions that are available on there. That is it, I think. Let's see if we have any other questions. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us on there. Laura, do you want to see if you're still there as well? Have you seen any other questions on there? Or do you think we're okay? Laura's fallen asleep at her desk. Well, she's not there. Not to worry. No, I'll just wait a few more minutes. If oh, looking right down at me on there, so I've angled my monitor. It's all right, Laura, don't worry. Fantastic. Great. Well, thank you very much, everyone, on there. We've got some other products that we plan to be showing as well. So we're actually, the next one I think we're going to be doing is a more in-depth one on the dot pad. We'll also have the brand new activator from HelpTech, which is a really exciting both QWERTY and Braille note taker device. It's both in one, which actually makes accessing tablets and mobile devices much easier having the QWERTY keyboard, despite the user may wanting to then use Braille input for actually writing. So that's quite an exciting product to have. And then the other one we've got for blind users is tactile graphics again, a bit like the dot pad, which will pair well with it, is something called the Tactonom. So that is something where you do have to create a tactile diagram, but you then get interactive responses from that tactile diagram. So as you run your fingers over the diagram, there's a camera watching your finger, and it instantly then gives you audible feedback and useful information about where your finger is on the diagram. Basically means that you don't then need to have somebody sat next to the blind employee or student explaining what they're feeling on the tactile diagram. It's all done by the device itself, and that can then be programmed with as many different layouts and diagrams as you need. And there are a whole library of them available on their free kind of portal for creating documents for that. So a really exciting product that allows a blind user independently to access tactile diagrams with voice explanation of them. So that we will have. I'm not sure if we've got the date set for that, so I don't think I can give it to you, but it's likely to be next month. We're trying to do sort of one of these a month, certainly while we've got this many different solutions. So I hope we're not boring you to death with them all. But they will be there as a resource, so you can just skip to the part of the product. And on the YouTube video that we'll upload from this as well, we'll make sure it's sort of split up, so you can just jump straight to the part that you might be interested in. Yes, I think that's it. So thanks very much to Laura as well for helping organise all of this. And sorry for coughing and spluttering through half of it. I might go and have a Lemsip now, I think, and a lie down. But thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate your time for coming on. Any questions, please use this as a resource, as I know many of you do. Please phone, email. We try and get back to you as quickly as we can. We enjoy talking to you all and trying to help. If you've got tricky problems or tricky users that you're not sure what might work or might not work, that's what we really enjoy, is trying to find the best solution for that person. So please don't feel afraid of giving us a ring or sending us an email. Our inquiries at visionaid.co.uk for the email is the best one, and then a team of sort of 4 or 5 people look at it, or just phone our free phone number on there, 0800 002 5555. All right, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.